Alright guys, it's time for part 3 of my dethatching series. It's been a long time overdue. It's been, I think, just over 10 months now since I did the dethatching. And several of you have asked for the final follow-up, and I was kind of waiting for a good time to show some actual results. But if I'm being honest, just visually looking at my yard, I'm not seeing much of a difference. So again, on the left here is where I dethatched, and on the right is where I did not dethatch, and this is the dividing line, and I've been watching it. This string hasn't moved except for cutting the grass in all the time since I dethatched. And you can see that I've got plenty of creeping Charlie on both sides, so it didn't affect that. The color's the same. Everything looks pretty much the same. Might be a little less creeping Charlie on this side, but it doesn't mean that the dethatching did anything. My front yard, I did put down Grub-X this spring, and I haven't had skunks digging in my yard, so I definitely had some grubs, and that was causing some of my discoloration. But the color looks great, but again, can't tell you for sure that the dethatching did what it was supposed to. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig up a core sample from either side of the line and kind of compare them, and then we'll go look at my test bed where I did the Scarifier, the Dethatcher, and just the manual dethatching rake. So you may have noticed that it was very difficult for me to dig into the ground to get these samples. I'm thinking that my ground is extra compacted and could be part of my problem, but let's take a look at the samples. So it doesn't look too healthy. A lot of brown on the bottom. Big gaps in there. I don't think that's what you want it to look like. I did put the Grub-X over the whole yard, so I shouldn't have any grub issues here. But the color looks nice until you dig it up. And then this is from the side where I dethatched, and it looks about the same. Maybe a little stronger. But you know, I have to look back at the first video, but I didn't go very deep because I wasn't sure how much damage it was going to do. So it could be part of my problem. Maybe I needed to go a little deeper on the settings. So just like the color, the roots, they don't look any different. Is it healthier? Maybe. I don't know. Seems like maybe some more roots are coming out of the bottom here, so maybe they're getting a little deeper, but that could be subjective. So I don't know if you remember my test bed, but we had the Scarifier over here, and then we did the dethatching attachment here, and then over here is just the regular hand dethatching rake. So we're going to dig up core samples here and see if we see any difference from these. All right, first we're going to look at the dethatched section. Looks about the same as my other test. I mean, the roots it's hanging on tight, but it's no different than the rest of the yard. Dethatcher didn't do that. Now we got the Scarifier, looking about the same. Remember, I overseeded here, fertilized. I've been doing the Scott's 4-step program all year. So, looks about the same as the Dethatcher, if I had to say so. So, let's see what the manual rake looks like. Alright, this is from the manual rake section. More of the same. I'd like to see a core sample from some healthy grass and see how much different this looks, but I just don't think that that's how it's supposed to look. So since I dethatched last year, I've done more reading as I didn't see any sort of change to my yard. I really expected to see a drastic difference from one side to another in my backyard here, and I didn't. And so I did some reading, and there's a lot of mixed reviews on dethatching and aerating. whether you need it or you don't need it. And I guess it really just comes down to your specific issues and your specific conditions. I really thought that I had just had too much thatch because it had never been done, and I thought that maybe I wasn't getting enough water and it was causing my browning issues. But it turns out maybe I just had grub issues, and the grub killer that I put down this spring seems to have cured at least some of that problem. I obviously still have an issue. My roots of my grass just don't look healthy. I don't think that's what they're supposed to look like. I'm going to look at possibly getting someone out to aerate, do the core aeration. I think my ground is super compacted, and I think that is part of my problem, but maybe not all of my problem. Overall, besides all this stupid creeping Charlie down here, my grass doesn't look bad this year. It's nice and green. It's one of the best in the neighborhood, so I can't complain. What is the point of dethatching? Well, it is to get that thatch layer broken up so that water and air can get down to the roots of your grass more efficiently. And I always was taught to dethatch, and I just hadn't done it because manually doing it is a pain. It really comes down to your situation and what conditions you've got. If you really want to dethatch, I highly recommend the machine versus doing the manual rake. As you can see, there was no difference between the two, but this was way harder doing it manually than just running the machine. And if you do have a thick thatch layer, you're going to want to dethatch once in a while. Maybe not every year, but every couple years, every few years. Again, all depends on your situation. I really wanted to report a significant difference from one to the other. I really wanted to sell dethatching because I always thought that it was beneficial, but I'm showing you my real results. There wasn't much difference, if any, and I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether or not buying a dethatcher is worth it for you. I hope this series of videos helped you make a decision. Thanks for watching.